Hey, fellow writers. Today I want to talk about how writing needs an important part, and that's reading. A lot of people say to read books and study the writing styles and even copy it, that it would help you with your writing. I personally don't believe that you should copy other people's writing styles. What makes them unique is they have a writing style, they have their own voice. And so, why would you want to copy theirs when you have your own? And it's all about discovering your own, not discovering other people's through your writing. I do believe, however, that when you read another person's book, especially if it's someone you admire their writing, it could affect your writing differently. I've read so many books that have shifted my viewpoint on the world and on people and also on writing. And I think those are some of the books I love the most. I wanted to highlight a couple writers that have done that for me. And there are so many, but I narrowed it down to 3 right now. The first one is Chaim Potok. I read Chaim Potok's book, The Chosen, around 17 or 18. It's an incredible book. Without a doubt, all of his books are. His style of writing struck me right away. I think the first thing I noticed was how little dialogue there was, but it wasn't that the characters weren't talking. The scenes involved a lot of talking, but he didn't write out line after line of dialogue, but rather he told what was being said and in part of the description of the scene. And the more I thought about it back then, the more I realized that if he had written out the dialogue, it would have distracted from the scene. The second thing, he wrote about times and topics that are very controversial. It tapped into the very essence of humanity and our sense of choice and beliefs, but he did it in a way that was as a storyteller. It felt as though he was telling his own story, even though I knew that this wasn't his story. It had that feeling behind of it came from a very real place, that his characters just were so moving and his stories were so moving that you almost forgot that they weren't real. And those are the most pivotal things I got from him. I did get other life lessons and humanity lessons from him, but as a writer, that is what I got. The second one is Alice Hoffman. Alice Hoffman is one of my favorite writers. Her life story is inspirational, and I love how all of her stories are written with this sense of magical realism that isn't blatant. It's so gently woven into a story that it just feels natural. It doesn't feel like, oh, that's magic. It feels like it's part of just your normal everyday reality. Second thing is how most of her characters are women, very strong women. And I love how her characters weren't damsels in distress, but rather they were the hero of their own story. I think that all of her stories have the same thing that Chaim Potok has, but in her style. It is a very raw and emotional element behind it. I admired her characters for their strength and also for their weaknesses. Her characters weren't perfect, but at the same time, they were incredible. So I got from her writing, don't go along the norm of how a female writer should be written. Don't view yourself as the normal female writer. View life magical and put that into your writing. And I picked Neil Gaiman as the last one because he is the most recent author that has made me change my viewpoint on writing. Neil Gaiman wasn't an author I had read previously, though he's been writing for years. I had heard about him, I just never got around to reading any of his books. What I've pulled from is it has an element of, it doesn't fit into the genre or the norm that society says books should fit into. His writing is very limitless almost. What I've gotten from his writing is that don't limit yourself to a genre and don't limit yourself to thinking that you had to fit into what the market says is what and what writers are currently writing. Write the story that you have to tell. I mean, Neil Gaiman has written novels, short stories, poems, graphic novels, it goes on and on. And so I haven't read very much of his work yet, but what I've gathered from that is, as a writer, don't limit yourself to one genre or one style of writing. You're a writer, so write. There are so many authors to choose from, and it was hard to pick 3, but I picked 2 of my favorites and the newest favorite that I just discovered. Remember, reading is an essential, vital part of writing, so don't poo-poo it. If you don't have time to read, make time to read. Don't just stick to reading the styles and genres that you are writing or that you like. Read them all. Because maybe it's not the style you like or the genre that you read or write, but it will open your mind and give you new perspective on something that you never even thought about. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this and came away with something, maybe a new viewpoint, or maybe just encouraged to read some more. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and let me know. And leave me a comment in the comment section below telling me about your favorite authors, your favorite books, and what has helped you in your writing. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, hit the red button below. Bye guys, and I will see you next week.